Hey everybody, Justin Morgan here. I'm a partner of Wood & Morgan, and I'm speaking with Ali.Karjoo of Bank of America today about 2023. Ali, could you introduce yourself and give us some key facts, man?
Of course. Thank you, Justin, for having me today. My name is Ali.Karjoo. I'm with Bank of America Practice Solutions. I've been lucky enough to be with Bank of America for a little over 13 years. I specialize in dental startup loans. So all I do is help dentists to start their practice from scratch, build it the way they always dreamed of, pick the team they always want, and continue to go on a growth strategy to be a successful business owner.
That's great, man. So today we're going to talk about 2023 and like how your time in the market was, some of the headwinds that you faced, and some of the that you and your clients faced.
Awesome. 2023 was a great year. We saw a huge number of doctors opening practices from scratch. Couple of the reasons why that happened is currently there's more buyers in the marketplace than there's sellers. So what happens is the doctor will keep looking for practices to buy, make offers, get their heart broken. Maybe the offer may not get accepted, or after when they do the due diligence, they're like, the profitability is not as good as we thought it is. Or the attorney says, hey, there's a problem with the lease, there's a problem with the purchase sale agreement. We should run as fast as we can from this practice, right? So what happens is the doctors will go, well, what do I need to do? Kind of own a business. And what we do is we connect them with a real estate broker, help them locate a location, lease the space. You guys will come in and review that lease, make sure it's a perfect lease, set up their corporations, and then banks will give them financing to build a practice from scratch, do all the construction, all the equipment, working capital, and then we even give them like graduated payment plan. So they grow into the payments on the loan as the practice builds up. And that is really satisfactory as far as what I hear back from clients is, I'm so glad I did this because it's the team I always dreamed of, right? It's the culture I always wanted in the business. And the finishes of the practice is exactly the way I always envisioned, right? It smells new, it looks new. It doesn't have the old school wallpaper that comes with green and, doesn't have carpet in the rooms. So that is super cool. And then it's what I really get excited is the text messages I get throughout their growth, right?
Yeah.
This morning, I got a text message from a client says, hey, Ali, first month, I had 40 new patients. Second month, I had 52. And this month, I'm already at 66 new patients, which is phenomenal. And she's so excited to see the practice growth, right? That's exciting. That's super. I'm very biased about the startup because I've been lucky enough to help like 600 clients. I call it jumping over the ledge and doing a startup on your own. And it's exciting to see how well they do, not only in our portfolio, but how well they do in their business, right?
Yeah, that's great. So in 2023, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
The biggest one is just, hey, the rates are going up. Should I do this? And historically, the rates are pretty much where they were for the longest period of time. It's just during COVID, we reduced the rates. So the rates are still really, really good. The number one fear, I feel like the client says, hey, one of my buddies purchased a practice and says, startup don't succeed. Just because they have one friend that did it one way and they think that's the right way of doing it for every single client. It fits within every single client.
Yeah.
Like pediatric dentistry, you don't see that many acquisitions in pedo, right?
No, you don't. You really don't.
It just, the doctors will start their own and that's the way it goes. And that's the biggest thing is when they talk to peers and because their peer did one way, they feel like that's the way they were sold to go, right?
So a little confirmation bias. So, rent is up too. Are you guys struggling to get deals done, or how are you working with that increased rent cost?
So I'm blessed enough to live in Southern California where I feel like the rent is stupidly high.
It's too damn high.
But overall, we still have plenty of spaces the doctors can go into. Maybe they can't be in the Triangle in Beverly Hills next to Chanel, but there's plenty of great areas that they can go into and be completely successful. When you're looking to do a startup, make sure you connect with the bank and ask them what your rent budget is. And banks will kind of give you that number and they say, okay, your rent budget is within this parameter. You got to stay under this for a certain amount of time. As we all know, rents do increase year over year, but banks really care about the very beginning of the lease where the rent is controlled until the practice stabilizes.
Great. And why don't you share one of your favorite stories from deals that you did this past year?
We did. That's a great question, brother. 2023, beginning of the year, we had a client that was, hey, I am in process of leasing a space and building it out to the way I want.
Yeah.
As we're finalizing the lease, we found out that the seller is actually open to purchasing that real estate, right? And the thought of purchasing real estate definitely scared everybody, right? It's Southern California, it gets a really big number really quick. But banks were like, absolutely, we should definitely do this, invest in it. And she was able to get financing for the building and start a practice from scratch. In 13 years of me doing this, I've never got a call from a client and said, I wish I didn't buy my own building or my own condo, right? So if you're in a financial position to purchase a building, and banks will back you up on that endeavor for you to buy the real estate and start a practice. And we are planning to do a second location for them this year.
That's amazing. And so how many years did it take for her to get from one location to two?
Right now, we're on the second year, and we're already in the talks. So the paint is not dry yet. She's already looking for the second
one. That's incredible. So that means, I mean, that's really fast growth. Was she a specialist?
Yes, pediatric.
Very good.
Pedo and ortho, they're the good guys, I always say, right? Yeah. Their growth strategy is phenomenal. The projections that we see from these guys on the first 3 years is absolutely amazing.
That's great. That's great. And yeah, I mean, it's tough for them to find practices. They get kind of locked into working with the same people, which can be fine, but it can also put a long-term kind of damper on their net worth. I think the other thing that I was curious about asking is, how long on average are people looking for, places to start up, and how long is that process from the moment they say, hey, I want to start up, to opening their doors?
It kind of varies depending on geographically. So let's kind of take the journey together. So I get a call from the client, hey doc, what's going on? I want to start a practice from scratch. Perfect. So we get their approval in place, and then they go, okay, now we got the rent budget. We know how much we have to work with. Now let's connect you to a commercial real estate broker that specializes in dental office places. Yep. Your cousin, uncle, brother, sister that has real estate background, that is not the right guy or person to connect with when you're looking to start a practice from scratch. You need dental specific team, right? Yeah. So then they start looking for spaces, and the tours can take either the first day you find a place that lights up and it goes, oh, this is the place I want, or it could take months for you to find that perfect location. The lease negotiation takes about, for letter of interest, this is when you make an offer to the landlord, should take about a couple of weeks. Sometimes it drags on depending how many times you go back and forth, as we all know.
A couple of months sometimes to negotiate the entire thing.
And then you get the lease draft, and then the attorney, Justin, will go, oh my God, we got a lot of work back and forth to do. And sometimes you go, this lease looks really good. I want to fine tune a couple of things. So those are all kind of dependent. But normally it takes about 6 months from the moment of you first looking, from when you signed the lease.
Yep. Cool.
And then construction can take about 4 to 8 months. I know it's a wide range. It all depends on permitting and how fast you want to move. Some people slow it down because they want to. It makes sense for us to slow down the construction phase because of how much time you got negotiated for free rent.
Mhm.
And then you also get, sometimes you get free rent post-construction, which kind of helps you as well.
Yeah.
And there's ways you can speed it up. While you're doing your lease negotiation, you can work on your permitting and drawings and drafts and all these different stuff that you need to kind of start hitting it. I have even seen people while they're in lease negotiation, they start doing demo work in the place. So we want to make sure we stay legal, but there's ways you can speed up the process.
Just make sure they have their insurance before they start doing that work.
For sure.
Yeah. And to wrap up, like, what are your expectations for 2024? What are you looking forward to?
So far, the C is great. It looks really great. There's a lot of potential startups out there. And each year, and January, we always kind of look at the market and we go, what's going on with the market? What's going to happen? The record low default rates in our portfolio shows that we're going to continue to lend. We want to continue to invest in this market. The rates seems to be stabilizing, hopefully going to a better place. The lower the rate, the less money you have to pay the bank, which it's always a good thing, the less payments you have. But I think 2024, knock on wood, should be a great year to continue to the growth strategy that we're looking for.
That's great, man. That's great. Well, hey, man, thanks for your time.
Of course.
I'll see you around.
Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate you guys having me.